Right, so now the recording has started. So again, thank you very much for coming to the meeting. This is really about the introduction to being a fourth official. And just to give you a context of this, the reason why I'm offering this is because some of you have never been a fourth official. However, you will be assigned, or you have already been assigned as the fourth official to a USL2 game or UWS or whatever the game might be. So I just wanted to give you two things you can do, and then things that you must do. So you can, I think, think of it that way. And how I'm going to break it down is the general expectation of the fourth official, what to do before the game, what to do during the game, and what to do after the game. That's how I'm going to break things down. So let me just jump into it. But before that, if I could you help me understand the general sense of your experience? How many times have you been the fourth official of a match? Okay, thank you. So this is good enough. So this is what it looks like. Some of you have never been a fourth official. Some of you have been a fourth official for 1 to 3 times, and then some have been a fourth official for more than 8 times. But what this really tells me is that about 60% of you have never been a fourth official or have only done it a very few times. So again, this is going to be a very much about a basic of this. So this is what the result looked like. So you can see what it looks like. And then many of you might have done it, once or twice a year. So this may not be something that you're too familiar with doing. So with that, let me start the presentation. So fourth official 101. And then here's what I will talk about today. General expectations, what to do before the game, what to do during the game, and what to do after the game. Jumping on to expectations. For this particular one, I'm really focusing on the games I assign as a national signer. So I think it was supposed to be NPSL, not UPSL, but NPSL, not UPSL. I don't assign UPSL. NPSL, USL2, USLW, and UWS games. So those are the games I assign. I did NPSL, USL2, USLW, and UWS games, and all of them will have a fourth official. And then what that means is that generally you do your job as a fourth official, but sometimes the official on the crew, it could be a referee, the referee or an assistant referee, they might go down. In that case, you will be on the field. So for those who have never been the fourth official, one tip is that be dressed just like a referee, or just like as an assistant referee. Just put whatever layer you need to. If it's chilly out, put your stadium jacket on. If it's cold out, but if you can strip it so that you can just jump into a game. Put your cleats on, put your socks on, everything. You must look like a referee, and you just have layers on top if needed. And then if the referee goes down, it is possible that one of the assistant referees is more experienced than you are. In that case, that person might step in as a referee, and you might step in as an assistant referee. It depends. So if that happens, give me a call or whoever you can contact, but usually it will be me. So just give me a call and then we can figure something out. It doesn't happen always, but it happens once a year. And as a fourth official, you must know the rules of competition. Oftentimes, referees and assistant referees come to a field not remembering to check out the rules of competition. So fourth officials, you are one of the ways to make sure that games are played under the appropriate rules of competition. Now, before the game, a couple of things you must do. This might be very similar to what you do at the youth level. Check the roster, checking players. And what you're looking for is those who are in the bench of a team, all of them, they must appear on the roster. If you find somebody who's not on the roster, but who is in the bench, that person needs to go. It does not matter if it is the owner of the team, it is the CEO of the complex, unless the rules of competition, which, as I said, you have to know, unless it allows rules of competition allow them to be in the bench, you must make sure that everyone in the bench are rostered, and then make sure that the names and numbers match. One thing that happens probably every month or every 2 months is that when you look at the roster after a game and try to find the person that the referee cautioned, you cannot find the person who got a card, because number 6 clearly received a card, but the roster does not include number 6. So make sure that it's not just the names, but it's also the numbers on the jersey. So you have to check for names and numbers. Before the game, make sure you inspect players' equipment. No necklace, no bracelets, no rings. So that's something that is important. You also have to check the equipment, look at the rules of competition, check out how many game balls each game has to have. Maybe it's 6, maybe it is not specified. But either way, identify which balls are the game balls so that you can inspect them for air pressure and whatnot, and then keep them under your control until ball chasers show up and grab the ball. So then you inspect the balls, keep them under your control so that they don't mix with other balls, and then hand the ball over to ball chasers before the pickoff time. You also check the field with your crew. Oftentimes, somebody in your crew is, if you have never done a fourth official, somebody in the crew should be more experienced than you are, so they will help you do this. You just follow them and then help them out. What's most important is that the field is safe. That is super important. Recently, last week, we had a game that was played with a field hockey goal on top of a soccer goal. That cannot happen. If you suspect something might be dangerous, it probably is dangerous. It's like the rule of thumb for a conflict of interest. If you suspect there might be a conflict of interest, then there is. If you think about it, there is conflict of interest. So if you really question if there's any danger on the field, then it is probably dangerous. If you have never used a substitution board, and if the team is given to you, play with it, learn how to use it, so that when you have to use it, you know exactly how to use it. Before the game, you check with some personnel. You may have a referee liaison who will help you with the security to walk you and escort you from and to your locker room. You may have somebody who is just there for you in case you need somebody, including the nets must be checked and nets must be fixed. If you have ball chasers, let them know. Don't throw the ball at the player, just gently roll it on the ground. Or hand the ball over to the player before you go chase the ball. Or stay at least 2 yards away from the touchline if you don't want to be run over by one of the assistant referees. So talk to those ball chasers. And very important, identify the medical person. Any game should have some sort of medical personnel. Some leagues require an athletic trainer. Some leagues require just a medical professional. It depends. But identify who that person is and then instruct that they must be available either for their own team or for both teams. Some leagues only say the home team must supply medical personnel for both teams. In that case, that person's job is not just for one team, but for both. So figure out who is the trainer, who the trainer is, or who the medical personnel is, and then tell them that they must be available for both teams. And if somebody possibly have an injury, wait for the referee's signal to walk or get onto the field. So these are the things that you do before the game. And obviously, if you get more experience, you do far more. But here are some of the 3 basic things that you should do. Checking the players, check the equipment, and then check with the people who you are basically working with for the following 90 minutes. Any questions? Any questions? No questions? All right. Then let's go to during the game. These are examples of something bad, and you have seen this. You have seen some of the talks before, but top left. Look at top left. What do you think is not good? Anybody? Just unmute yourself and tell me what is not good about the top left picture.
So I don't know who this person is, but it looks like there are outside players. Obviously, they're not dressed to play. They're not ready to play. We don't even know who these people are, but they seem to be close to the field. Spectators not where they should be is what I'm going to go with. But yeah, I don't know. Looks like this 4th official messed up.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. What would you do if you're the 4th official? Brandon, what would you do if you were
Oh,
the
that's
4th
back to
official?
me. That's back to me. Okay. Well, if it was me, I would go over and say, talk to the coach. Hey, if these players on your club, I understand, but they shouldn't be, near the bench area. If you could ask them to leave, please. Thank you.
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you. Now, top right picture. This game, it does not look like it has a 4th official because the referee official has a flag in his left hand. But what's good about this is that behind this AR is the A tent or the tent with soccer balls, game balls hidden. So the balls are under control, but you can kind of see that the players from the board side are watching the game from the bench side. Again, bench can only have those who are rostered. Now let's look at the bottom left picture. What is not good about this? Anybody?
Wouldn't it be the fact that the balls are, yes, they're like contained, but they're not in the bags like they're supposed to be?
Right, Adam, exactly. So the balls must be in basically the ball bag that each team brings. So this is an easy way for balls to be mixed or some foreign object to end up on the field. So make sure that balls are in a bag. Bottom right picture. What might not be good with this? Anybody?
The subs aren't wearing pennies.
Right, subs are not wearing pennies. So in this situation, fortunately, the subs are somewhat far from the touchline, but it's always good for us to know who the subs are. And even if there's no AR on the other side of the field, if there is some mass confrontation, something happens, we have to keep track who the subs are. So make sure that we have subs wearing a penny. So thank you, Stephanie. During the game, here are the things that you are doing as the 4th official. Keep record of the game. It does not mean you should be standing in the around the halfway line with a binder in your hand. I highly discourage you from showing up to a game as a 4th official with a binder and just holding on to the binder, because you're not there as box scorekeeper. You are there as a 4th official. You just use your regular referee wallet that you use as a referee or assistant referee, and write down critical information, namely goal, what minute, who scored, and then whatever information you need to know based on the competition. What's important is the misconduct, what time, which number from which team, and why, if possible. Even if you cannot keep track of the minute or the reason, know who received the card, because you could be the only person who knows that somebody has received a second caution, and you might be the reason why the referee does not allow the game to restart it with somebody receiving a second caution. Keep record of subs. All the leagues that I assign will require some sort of tracking of subs. Who went in at what minute and who came out at what minute. Know the substitution rules. Can you, once you're out, are you out? Are you out only for the half? Are you out for the entire game? What happens with concussion substitution? Check out the referee manual and make sure you understand the substitution. How many subs are allowed? How many people are allowed in the bench? And what happens when there is a concussion sub? So you keep record of it. And then, of course, you handle subs. So those who have done the fourth official duty before, and when I say use the pass cards smartly to keep subs by you, not to enter the field until somebody comes off the field, how do you use the substitution passes to make that happen? Anyone?
Don't take the card until it's time to go on the field.
Right, absolutely, John, thank you. So they will bring you a piece of paper saying, I am going in and number 5 is coming out. If you have a board, you input that information. Referee stops the game, you show the board, and then number 5 walks or runs towards you or toward the touchline, wherever they're supposed to exit. And then once the new sub is ready to go in, that's when you take the sub card. No player will go onto the field with a sub card in their hand. If you take the sub card prematurely, they will just run onto the field. So keep the sub, have them maintain their sub card until they are approved to go in, which is basically the referee beckoning them on. And obviously you manage injuries. As I said before, your games may only have 1 medical personnel per match. In that case, if somebody gets injured, you go find that person and then let them know that there may be a need for that person to be on the field. And then stay with them. And then once the referee beckons them on, then make sure that that person goes onto the field in a efficient manner. Just because an injury is by an opponent does not mean they can delay that process. And then referee will tell you around the 43rd minute and probably 87th minute how much time to be added. If you have a sub board, you use the board to show how much time is needed. If you don't have a board, you just go to both benches and say, the referee has told me that minimum of 3 minutes will be played. The key here is the phrase, the minimum of X minutes. You're not telling them it's only 3 minutes because you never know what happens. And you can either communicate that time or display the time around the time that when the clock hits 45th minute and the 90th minute. No need to let them know at 87th minute, wait until the 90th and then let them know. Don't wait until 92nd minute and say 3 minutes added because they think they will have 3 more minutes, not just 1 more. Now, if the referee adds more time during the additional time, you are not obligated to let the teams know. So you just display it once a half. And obviously, if you can, this bullet point is not something you must be able to do from day one. This is something that I want you to be able to strive to do. But the first bullet point here, assist the referee when you have a better view of an incident. You may or may not be able to do that from day one. So If you happen to see a foul and if you happen to have a way to communicate that to the referee, great. But if it's your first time, second time, third time being a fourth official, then you can have the referee manage fouls and misconducts. Otherwise, you may be trying to do things that are a little more difficult than what you're about to do. And then warming up. There are times when players use "I'm going to warm up" as an excuse to go outside the technical area and then just watch the game from behind the goal or something like that. If they are moving, if they are not causing any issues, don't worry about it too much. But if they are behind the goal, saying things to players, or if they are interfering with the game but without actually doing any warm-up, then you might want to let somebody know. And in that situation, if there's a player who is in the bench, you can use the play and say, hey, can you get those players to come back to the technical area if they are done warming up? But this oftentimes is not really the battle to pick. So hence, these first 2 bullet points are something that you can try to do if you feel comfortable. But if you don't feel too comfortable, don't worry about it. Focus on the first slide for during the game part so that you can do the minimum that you have to do. However, the last bullet point here, third bullet point, is something that you really need to know. We know that pushing is a direct free kick offense. We know that holding is a direct free kick offense. We also know that unsporting behavior is a caution and violent conduct is a red card. But we don't know enough about when to give a warning, when to give a caution, and when to give a send-off to bench personnel. If you look up Law 12, they have a nice list of things. So know them, and if the coach or whoever violates that, then your responsibility is to let the referee know. If you read Law 6, other officials, it says that your job as a fourth official is to inform the referee when there is irresponsible behavior by the bench personnel. Your job is not to be verbally or physically abused. This is a US soccer match. This is not college, for example. This is not high school. So what you're expected to do with a college coach or high school coach may be different, I don't know. But for US soccer, if the coach crosses the line, just let the referee know and have them handle it. And if you say a coach, for example, stepped onto the field in a confrontational manner, and I look at the law book and the law book said this, so I told the referee to handle it. And if the coach complains that you were too picky, our games will have streaming, or games will have video cams, or games will have all the cameras. So I will be able to support your decision. So don't worry about being too picky or too sensitive or too strict. If they cross the line, they cross the line. It's their own fault. Coaches have been doing this for years, so they should know better. And then we will not allow any referee assault or abuse or any behavior that is considered irresponsible according to the laws of the game to just simply go by. Any questions so far on this? You go ahead.
Yep, just on your point of the coaches, these coaches are a fully paid position. They are considered professional here. They know what is allowed and what is not, and will push you to right up into that line of actually what is a warning, what is a caution, what is a send off. So it's up to us to actually draw that line in the sand. And as soon as you do, 99% of them will back off and pretty much concede and be good to go because you actually enforced it. If you don't enforce it, that's when things start getting out of hand.
Thank you. Anybody else? Josh, you are an experienced official. Any tips on that? How to manage a petulant 50-year-old when you are 18?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things I would suggest is to I'm going to say make them work for it a little bit. And what I mean by that is, when they're going to be upset about something, don't go looking for trouble, make them come to you. If they have to come to you to approach that, it's a whole different realm that you now have. Again, to what you were saying, read what's in the law 12 there that you can then support. If they have to leave to come berate you, you have tools to deal with that. So make them come to you in situations. You don't always have to go looking for them to vent to.
Thank you, Josh. Right, then just a few more things about after the game. After the game, let's see, we can share this. It's pretty simple as this. Advise a referee and then submit a supplemental. So super simple, advise a referee in the sense that the referee is required to submit a report. So some referees will say, can you fill out the report and I will sign it. Some referees will say, I will write it and can you check it? But either way, before you write the report or help them write the report, go over the cautions, go over the goals, make sure that your information is correct. And then if there was a send-off that you saw and that you initiated the card, or there is some abuse or assault against you, then you may have to submit the report. But basically, after the game is really about the paperwork. So in sum, before the game, you have people to talk to and things to check. Check the players, check the field. Talk to some key individuals like the medical personnel. During the game, you are there to facilitate things that are happening off the field. You are there so that the 3 people, referee and 2 ARs, are able to focus on what's happening on the field. But if this is new experience for you, what you really have to really worry about here is keeping track of goals, misconduct, and subs. And when there's substitution or injury, you basically take initiative and make sure that injured player is removed if the trainer is on the field. And then just support the referee as much as you can. And feel free to let the referee know that this is your first time or second time being the 4th official, because that will prepare the referee how much they can expect from you. Don't be afraid to share that with the referee. And then during the game, if any bench personnel misbehave, keep track of it and then write it down or remember it so that when an action needs to be taken, you can take an action. After the game, it's really about the paperwork. But what's nice about after the game is that you have 3 other people that can help you with it. The same thing with before the game. Your crew is able to help you. So what's really critical is during the game, because during the game, you are on your own and 3 other people on your crew are busy with what they have to do. So during the game, keep track of, record keeping, injuries, subs, and then misbehaving bench personnel. So that's really what you have to do. And this is the baseline of being a 4th official. Obviously, if you have 10 games, 15 games as 4th official, there's now we can talk about the management and different things. But as an intro, as 101, this is really the general basic of being a 4th official. Any questions or comments? Words of wisdom from people who have done this before?
So you showed a picture of some untidy benches, maybe balls not tucked away, maybe players or people in the technical area that didn't belong there. We like to use the term of being proactive. When's a better time to go tell the coach that somebody needs to leave the technical area or balls need to be tucked in? Before the game, or when the coach is really teed off about a call that the referee just made? So if you're proactive and take care of the controllables before the game even starts, then they know your expectations.
Right, as soon as you notice it, so don't wait until the coach is mad about a PK decision. once you notice it, just be proactive before things escalate. When two people, it's easier to get rid of one person from a bench than 5 people, like a picture we saw. So don't wait until something is worse, because once something is worse, it's a lot harder to control, and it's gonna make your own life more difficult. So take care of things when the issue is small. Don't use it's a small thing as an excuse not to do something, because that's gonna make your life harder. So, does that make sense, Ron? Does that help? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for underlining that.
And Sue.
Yeah, Sue just has sorry, I have a bit of an echo here. Something that happened to me, just remember, no one is perfect. You will learn every time you do it. I made a mistake probably the 3rd time I was a 4th official, because I had seen a national referee, who I will not name, go out of the area to take care of some people that were behind a goal to get them moved. So I did that in my next 4th official, thinking that since I had seen that, it was okay. So I really like Brendan's answer that he asked the coach to move the people prior to. So my just bit of advice is, like I say, nobody be perfect, don't be nervous. But if you can, especially, the coach might be busy. So maybe you have that referee liaison, or maybe a field marshal, somebody that if you see somebody out of your area, you should always stay in the technical area to remove people that might be somewhere else around the field, like behind the goal, something like that. Just from experience, I know that happened to me, so maybe that would help somebody else.
And then you can also use one of the subs in a smart way, because let's say if you're at like one of the stadiums, you don't have a field marshal. The liaison is usually in the is waiting somewhere in the by the locker room, and they may be busy locking the door and stuff. So if you don't have anyone, like Sue mentioned, you can even use one of the subs, and then talk to sub, because subs are probably bored anyways, and then coaches are busy. So you can talk to one of the subs who look like he or she is going to cooperate with you, and say like, hey, can you help me? Like make sure that your teammates put their penny on. So yeah, so a good point about using other resources. Any questions?
Hey, can you
Yes.
or Josh or somebody else who's worked in the leagues before just do a quick walkthrough of the substitution process? So a player comes up with pass card in hand. Then what are the next steps we're expecting the 4th official to take?
Josh, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so the first thing is you want to gather info. So who's going in, who's coming out, and get an understanding of just what the expectation is, right? So they should come up with a little paper pass. If they don't have that, send them back and get a paper pass. But in all the leagues we're talking about, they should come with a paper pass that has some basic info on it. So make sure that's at least filled out, so you know the numbers, that 12's going on, 4's coming off. Okay, got that. So when they go on and come off, we know we've got that right. Once you've got that, check their equipment, do just a quick up and down glance at them, make sure there's nothing that's going to cause issues in a little bit. And then somehow indicate to the referee that you are ready for subs. Most of the referees should be saying, we're going to sub when you are ready, not as soon as they stand up. And so you're done with that before you indicate that you're ready for subs. And that'll be different. Again, pregame, make sure if you're doing this, get with your referee and ARs, and how do you want to know when subs are ready? I can let the AR know. They may be very down in the corner. One tool that I like to use is you step up to the touch line a little bit more. So if you're kind of back away from the touch line, means I don't have anything. As you step up as a 4th official, it means I have something. Subtle, easy way to kind of indicate. And then once they call over, or they tweet, stop, call over, again, as I think we mentioned earlier, make the player hold on to that pass. Don't take it from them. Wait till their player comes off. You monitor the substitution. Player comes off, new player goes on. That little slip they'll give you has a nice spot to record the time right on there. And then that is something that I think we can all look at our watch and say 56th minute. And you can remember that. Don't write it down right away. Continue to monitor until play restarts. once play restarts and kind of gets away, go back to that pass and 56 scribble in the minute. And you have successfully completed a sub at that point.
So you notice in that example, how the fourth official moved to the touch line with the board to get their attention. You can do the same thing without a board when you need to get the referee's attention. In other instances, stand back 3-4 yards from the touch line.
Any questions, comments, anything?
The only other thing out there is first time you do this, you will absolutely feel rushed, and especially when they have 3 or 4 subs come at you at the same time, you will feel rushed. But just know that it's on you to fill out the paperwork before they sub, right? So there's nothing that says we have to get them in the first 5 seconds that they approach you to get things straightened out. So do your paperwork, keep everything in order, and then ask for the substitutions from the referee. So they've got to process all that. So if you feel rushed, slow down, take a step back, and take your time to do it correctly. Because I can tell you from experience, trying to figure out that you missed a sub or a number or any other multitude of things that were recorded incorrectly is not a lot of fun to have to deal with later.
Very true. So thank you, Josh. So don't get rushed. Have them wait. If they complain, have them wait still. Ron, go ahead.
So who signals that a substitution is needed? I'm not asking you, Yuya, I'm asking everybody else. If you have a fourth official, is it just on the fourth official to signal that there's a substitution opportunity?
Depends on the other officials and where they're placed. If the other official has a good view, as in the AR across the field, he has a view of the sub and the fourth official, and the referee may not, he can still signal for a substitution with flag over the head.
Yep. So everyone signals. You're not gonna have comms. So basically, if you have a chance, if AR1 is near you, you can say, "Hey, I'm gonna sub. We need a sub," so that the AR1 can flag it, because it's easier for the referee to see 3 people signaling than only 1 person. So everyone subs. Any other questions, comments? If not, the corrected slide and the recording of this is going to be put on MRC's resource page. So you'll be able to download it or watch it. Any questions? Are we good? Are you gonna be a perfect fourth official on day 1? Hopefully, we'll see. But any questions, let me know. If you have not, vote for the best call of the month or whatever that is that I just sent out the other day. There's absolutely nothing for the winner to earn other than the bragging rights, but maybe you'll end up on it next month. So thank you for showing up. Again, any questions, let me know. I'm here to help. So thank you and have a good evening.